Do you want to have a welcome, or are we just kind of like going into it?
Sure. I hadn't thought about it, but um, welcome to our first. I don't even know what to call these. They're
Yeah.
kind of like shorter mini episodes.
Yeah, side stories. I don't
Side stories. All right, let's go with it.
know.
Welcome to the first of ideally many side stories. This is where we take a moment in between our bigger releases of our long form episodes to get a little bit current. If you didn't already know, our first episode was recorded back in
That's
January
right.
of 2024, in case you're hearing this in the distant future.
Who knows?
Um, and today we're sitting down in September to chat about how Music at the Intersection went
Yeah.
and kind of do a little quick catch up. It's just Darian and I in the studio
Today,
today
yeah.
to do a little recap.
A little
So,
recap. Yeah, because I wanted to go to music at the intersection. Didn't work out, but I definitely wanted to cover that as like I feel like that is a event that has context from low to high, and it can show all of those things in between as well. So I'm excited to hear your feedback. I know we both attended some of the panels at the conference
mm-hmm.
on Friday. I enjoyed it. The two I went to, I guess one was the content creator. It was like four different content creators on a panel, and they were talking about their day to day and things like that. And then which was good. It was
Mm-hmm.
honestly good to hear some of the things that I already knew, like reinforced to me, like about
I
taking
hate
breaks and
hearing that you
scheduling.
need to post every day.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, the
I'm
posts every
safe.
day. Yeah.
I'm so resistant because I've just there's so many like aggregate apps and stuff that you
Mm,
can get into to post on your behalf, but
true.
really the best reach for any post is just posting natively in the app, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
I need a Jelani alarm clock
For
that
real.
calls me or texts me until I respond saying, "Hey there, it's time for your daily post."
Did you
Like,
post yet? Huh? Huh?
yeah, what are we talking about today? Like, someone to bounce it off of to get excited about it. And,
Yeah,
like, I understand why there's content houses, like, for
for real.
TikTok and stuff now. I'm like,
Many
okay, just being
hands.
in that energy instead of being on my cat's timeline, like,
That's
that
right.
doesn't necessarily work out with. The cat may make me money one day, but, like,
Yeah,
only if
who
I post
knows?
about it every day.
Right, right. Although I do have a friend that has a Borzoi dog, I think is what it's called, and he
A
did the
special
whole
breed.
post every day, and now he's got like 200,000 followers on YouTube, and
Believe.
it's just pictures and video of his dog. He's sometimes in it, and he's a
Mm-hmm.
good looking dude. He's an actor in California, but it's all about the dog. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
So to back it up a little bit, Music at the Intersection happens every year in Grand Center Arts District here in St. Louis, Missouri. It's
Yeah,
something that is I would say it's a crown jewel of modern entertainment in
for
the
sure.
United States that most places outside of St. Louis don't necessarily know about. The beautiful thing about Music at the Intersection is it also brings about it adjacent programming that's
Hmm.
free and open to the public.
Yeah,
So this year
amazing.
on Thursday, instead of having the thought conference out at Webster University that they have in years past, which was called Intercessions,
Mm,
they instead did Maddie Places
okay.
on Thursday. And that was activating like all of Grand Center,
Wow.
basically. Even Diana Lucas had hit me up. She started it all off
Wow.
with yoga at 8 in the morning at
Okay.
Strauss Park. I was running somewhere I wouldn't have ended
Fair.
up making it. It was a very interesting morning for me. I had like woken, I like jetted out of bed because I thought it started at 7.
Ooh,
And so I
yeah.
like start going over there at like 6:50, like just trying to like get there. I'm like texting her, I'm like, I'm coming. She's like, oh, I was like, oh, it's at 8. And then I went back to sleep for a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah, good.
before I had a therapy appointment, but like I wouldn't have been
Nice.
able to stay for a full hour it would
Yeah.
have been going east and then west. It just wasn't going to make any
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
But she started it all off with the Strauss Park activation, and then
That's
from
awesome.
seeing her stories, it just like continued the whole rest of the day in Grand
Awesome.
Center.
Okay.
And then I DJ'd at Turn that evening.
Sweet.
And that was really cool. It was my first time DJing at Turn. And it wasn't a very high attendance because they had started building the set for Music at the Intersection,
Gotcha.
and they had blocked off
The
roads
street,
and stuff. So there was some conflict with the building of Music at the Intersection at the same time as Maddie Places.
Yeah.
So that also is, there was like a schedule of events for Maddie Places too, and it would have helped the Grand Center Arts District if all of those plans had been compiled into like one
big
schedule
plan. Yeah.
or even one post. I
Yeah.
mean, I know that David made a poster and I didn't end up seeing it on Music at the Intersections
Shout out to
profile
David.
and stuff.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, so it's there. I understand that there's a lot of coordination, and I recognize that like when you have a big nonprofit arts organization,
Right.
you can only have so many people making decisions at the top.
True.
But what I would enjoy seeing is more delegation or even Festival of Nations, which is really probably technically the crown jewel when it
For
comes to
real.
St. Louis festivals. I mean, that
That's a
one's been going
beautiful
for
event.
since the 30s.
Yeah.
Like
Long,
free
long time.
festival.
Yeah.
So
Celebrating all the cultures here in St. Louis.
and they have
and around the world.
ambassadors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like Aloha is an ambassador for the Festival of Nations.
Mm-hmm.
Music at the Intersection could absolutely create like an ambassador
Yeah.
program for it. That include whether it's a street team or whether they're in charge of a block of they're
Programming.
deployed for certain things. And so I guess that brings me to the next part of like it's now just called MATI conference, Maddie conference. But it used to be called Intercessions.
Okay. And that has a different connotation to that word too. I feel
doesn't
like.
it?
Yeah.
Like I think maybe Webster maybe owns that name is maybe the reason.
Okay.
That's the only reason I can
Yeah,
see
they
why
couldn't
they
use the
changed it though.
Yeah, because I feel like that intercession just implies intersectionality and like how we
Maybe
come
they
together.
heard my feedback last year.
Yeah, hopefully.
Maybe Rob said something. I don't know.
I like that name too. It just sounds cool. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason of the switch too was they were saying that Maddie stands for music, arts, technology, innovation.
okay.
So that is, they had a panel this year on gaming. I ended up
Yeah.
missing. I was having breakfast at that time, but
That's okay.
I know Jelani.
He attended that one.
Yeah, so we can dive in deep with Jelani on the conference, and because he hit all
Hey
of them.
folks, Jelani here to dive a little deeper into the 2024 Maddie Festival and Conference. After spending a full day bouncing around between the main stage to a fourth floor event hall at the lovely Zac, I took a lot of steps and a ton of notes. As an avid gamer, one of the panels that stuck out was the panel called The Intersection of Art and Gaming. This panel was led by moderator Charles Whitehead, known for being on-air talent with Nintendo North America for events like the Splatoon 3 World Championships in Japan. The panelists were Matt Rathel, Professor of Practice of Game Design at Maryville University, Abraham Donovan, game designer at Graphite Labs, and the senior level designer for Mr. Run and Jump, produced by Atari. Also, we had Richard Nava, game design and development consultant with Tari Labs, and Mary McKenzie, co-founder and managing partner with Volcano Bean. While these panelists sat and dropped gems for 45 minutes, I found myself getting more inspired to jump into the game design scene in St. Louis. I had no clue that there were any game developers, designers, or this many enthusiasts in the St. Louis area. Now, I'm feeling invigorated to get to the next level of my gaming journey. Jelani Buchanan with High Context Podcast.
But one of my big takeaways that I wasn't really expecting was at the creative entrepreneur panel.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of my favorite panels each year. Like last year, Carlos from Cartel
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Kababi were on the same panel, and that
Nice.
was extremely illuminating. Yeah. This year, it had Gerard Kraft, Synergy Productions, Ahmed from Synergy Productions, and then also two folks from Mother model agency. Which I didn't know we had a model agency
Me neither.
in St. Louis,
Yeah.
right? And modeling, when you think about it, like what locales do you think about when you think about modeling?
New York, L.A., Paris.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are jet setters,
Major
right?
cities, yeah.
Yeah, so when I heard from them that, yes, they have their business here in St. Louis, but they, were considering other locales because St. Louis doesn't value St. Louis. And this was something they brought up on their own, like in their own speaking time and stuff. And so when the floor opened for questions, I heard Braden mention something, so it was cool to see a local influencer like asking a question.
Yeah.
Because he was on the content creators panel last year, I think.
Nice.
And so when there was kind of like a lull after his question of like, do we have another question? And so I asked, I was like, you mentioned that St. Louis doesn't value St. Louis, or St. Louis maybe devalues St. Louis. Like, what does it look like to flip that around where St. Louis, it does value St. Louis, and we do build St. Louis to be the same metropolis height as in LA or in New York,
Right.
because we have everything that's makes it possible to. And the answer from Mary from Mother Modeling Agency, they she had mentioned, she was like, there's a lot of gatekeeping.
Yeah.
And I was so grateful to have been able to ask that question and get that conversation started with them, because it did inspire and did bring up that like we have an Explore St. Louis like campaign. Sterling K.
marketing.
Brown mentioned it on his Hot Ones episode. And I know that in like last year, Carlos from Cartel had mentioned, where is our campaign of We Love St. Louis? Like, there's I Love New York. Like,
I've seen
we
ads
have
for
Explore
Michigan.
St. Louis, but it does feel like an outside in sort of campaign.
Yeah. I've seen ads for Michigan and like Oklahoma and stuff like that on our regular
and they
TV.
want you to go visit them.
Right.
And that's the same with Explore St. Louis and other states, but it's really a marketing campaign specifically geared to
St. Louis.
St. Louis for St. Louis.
Yeah.
And I've seen Wash U do some of it. I've seen STL at Sea do some of it. And it's I had someone come up to me after my question from Explore St. Louis.
Oh, nice.
To start that conversation.
Okay.
So I shot off a quick little email.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I
Follow-up
would
is
want
key.
to. I would want to work with Carlos from Cartel, because he, I want to run on. Would never presume to take anyone's idea without them being a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, if they had the idea, it seems the most cohesive to work with them on that idea, since they've given time and thought to it.
Maybe have a vision already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if it's, I don't mind being boots on the ground to get it to people, or put stuff up, or say, have you considered this, or I know someone.
Yeah.
So that was very, very exciting.
Awesome.
One of my highlights from the conference was I got to talk to Carlos a little bit at the box lunch
Nice.
little meeting, and whenever Carlos jumped to a different table, I also got to say hey to Maxie as well at that moment. But they switched tables, and Katie's Pizza and Pastas, Katie came by.
Wow.
And she had two other ladies with her, including Alicia, who does marketing for Katie's. And Alicia and I started talking, and I was like, oh, I love Katie's. I love how integrated everything is. I mentioned, they were like, oh, we go to Italy every year. I'm like, oh, if you ever need any help with that, here's my, I'd love to give you my mom's information. She's a travel agent.
Yeah.
And I pivoted into, I just launched a podcast and was going to talk more about how like the Italian culture is so highly contextual, and they're using that part of the Italian culture to make the food at Katie's and stuff. And, but for some reason I had mentioned, I was at KDHX. So I've, to fill that time, I've made this podcast.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I feel so bad about what happened at KDHX. And I just kind of I always know the next question is like, how are you involved or whatever. And I said, oh, well, I was on Sonic Space on Monday mornings. And her like jaw dropped. And she was like, you were my number one. She was like, I would get upset when my husband would take the kids because it meant I missed Sonic Space. She's like,
wanted to be
your
in the car.
taste. Yeah. She's like, your taste is like, we have the same music taste. Like, she was like, I've been looking for it. She's like, I go on the streaming services and I would put something in, but then it would divert me back to not what I wanted to listen to.
algorithms.
And the algorithm homogenizes the taste, like kind of breeds this like conformity, right?
Yeah.
And so I told her, I was like, I missed you too. It was like one of the most like sweet moments to like, it was definitely a highlight to be able to connect with. Like, that's the whole reason why I did Sonic Space, was for like listeners like her,
that have similar music tastes, that want to know more about the music, just
taking
want
the
to
kids
hear
to
it.
school, starting the week, right?
On the radio,
like the week, I'm sure feels completely different now for folks, and when it starts differently. I mean, it feels different for me too.
Right.
And
how it starts kind of, sets that tone. How the week starts.
So that was impactful, to say the least. Was not something that left my mind, whatsoever, like even the whole rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
That night we saw Drama.
Okay.
And the before Drama was like 4 or 5 local openers.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, so I saw a local, more folk country Americana band.
Okay.
I want to say his name's Matt Jordan.
Okay.
Do a cover of Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark.
Nice.
It's just like all guitar and vocals. I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
And then after that there was DJ Lunar Riot in between sets, she was really good. I think Lonnie Rose was next. I had never heard them before and was really impressed.
Nice.
Like, the production level was really on point.
Yeah.
And then after that was, I want to say, Tanina.
Oh, yeah.
And Tanina started off with, she had Thomas Payton on drums.
Okay.
And I don't know that I've ever seen this guy drum before. Maybe I have. But it was just Tanina on bass with vocals and
her upright or electric?
Electric.
Nice.
And him on drums, and they started off the set
wow,
with
just a duet.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
But like not lacking anything really.
Yeah.
And they started off the set with kind of like their own, like, between the two of them, like a little call and response almost.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of tell that it was kind of like maybe like a little warm up for both of them.
Yeah.
But just bass, kind of a conversation between bass and drums.
The rhythm section.
Yeah. And it was mathy.
Oh.
It was really mathy, and I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. I wonder if she's exploring some new styles or whatever.
I mean, it felt like she was doing the structure with the bass, and then the fill-in was the drums. It was almost like front-loading the drum solo a little bit.
Interesting.
It didn't. The rest of the set wasn't really mathy whatsoever, but it was like really beautiful.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
That's
like,
cool. What were you hopping around from venue to venue, or was it all in one place?
This is all at the Big Top.
Okay. Cool.
One right after another.
Nice.
Yeah, with Lunar Riot in between, and then after and Tanina just killed it. I was I don't think I have ever seen her live. I wanted to see her live for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, her voice is.
It's so unique.
Yeah. It just changes the structure of the space. She gives me a similar vibe live to Erykah Badu. Now, they don't sing similar, but they're able to use their voice to change the energy in the area. And I used to somewhat help manage Tonina with Farfetch, and I booked her for Earth Day one year. And they ended up booking her early, which sucked, but it worked out because people were just coming into the festival, and I saw so many people like walk past the stage, but when she started, they stopped and started to gravitate back towards the stage. I was just like watching this happen, like person after person.
Bet.
And then when she was done, people went back into the festival, but I think at first they weren't paying attention, but when they heard her voice, they were like, "Wait a minute, let me go see what's going on over here."
Hell
So
yeah.
yeah, Tonina, man,
It's definitely ear catching, I guess, is the
Yeah.
way to say that.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So that was the first night. Was there any after party or anything?
Yeah, so it was like Tanina and then Brock Seals who
that's sweet.
had this whole like air seals
Oh,
theme that
nice.
he would say in between. He was like, you may see some movement around the cat. Like it was really
On the
cute.
cabin,
I thought
yeah.
it. And Superman was his backup.
Okay.
His
Like hype man or
his
DJ?
DJ.
Yeah.
And then Drama was just really good.
Yeah.
Can
you describe
loved
Drama a little bit?
Drama is a duo from Chicago. They are like they're definitely on the electronic end.
Okay.
It's like she's singing and he's working the synthesizers and the samples, so she gets to dance around
Nice.
and yeah, it was electronic. I would say like electro indie is where I would put it. They have music with Gorgon City and Flight Facilities,
Okay.
and they played like all their best songs. Like
Nice.
they don't have any bad songs. Drama doesn't have any bad songs, but they really like. Yeah, I don't normally like. I'm usually if like a band, if a front man is like telling me to do something, I'm kind of probably partially rolling my eyes.
Yeah, I get
Because they probably haven't earned it.
it. Yeah,
And
right,
so these
right.
folks earned it for
Yeah.
sure. And like, you know, there was this one point where she had us like get really, really low to the ground. She's like, when we jump back up, we're gonna shake off everyone else's energy that isn't our energy. Like there was stuff like that.
That's
I
cool.
mean, they started off with one of my favorite songs, which puts it pretty succinctly of like, you know, take me as I am. It is like I know my worth and don't devalue me and take me for all that I am.
Yeah. Every bit.
There's another song that's like, you know, you've done enough. Like, there's just some of those songs where I'm like, damn, I needed to hear that right
That's
when
some
I heard it.
healing
sort of
words,
thing.
probably
Like,
healing music as well.
very healing
Yeah.
for sure. And like other performances over the weekend that reminded me of that sort of vibe was definitely Esperanza Spalding and Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
And Shaka Khan, she was like, she and we're skipping forward. This is all the way to
That's
Sunday.
okay. Yeah,
but-
that's the last
but
day,
she
but
was
that's all right.
like,
We'll go back.
she was like, I found my place in this world, and my place in this world is ministry to guide us through like this moment and guide us through this higher vibration.
Yeah.
I'm like paraphrasing, but she did say ministry. I was like, oh, yes,
That's-
God
wow.
gave you a mission. Yes. It
I
was
can
really
see
cool.
that.
And she, you know, she recently did a Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's amazing. I probably watched it twice already. It's amazing. I just love her voice already. It's very unique, and what she can do with it. Like I've not really heard anybody else be able to do
Yeah.
some of the things she could do with her
And
voice.
the level of production. Of
Yeah, you
all
go
these
back to the
different
Rufus
styles of
days.
dance
Oh
music,
my goodness,
yeah.
it's so funky, and she does dance music, just pop. She can do anything, and to hear her have said that is amazing because I could totally feel that. All her music is positive, high vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
when she's talking about something sad, it like kind of lifts you up a little bit.
Yeah. So that morning I had DJ'd at Turn,
Okay.
and I got to DJ for my mom. And
Nice.
so that was really, really special.
Has she seen you DJ live
No,
before?
that was the first time. And I think, and she even said, she was like, that was probably the best environment that she could experience me DJing,
Turn.
where she could sit and have brunch, and she didn't have to like be up and about and
Right,
dance and
and
stuff.
yeah.
Or like stand. Or
Yeah,
be
be on your
around
feet
too
the whole
many
time.
people, or like not her music and
crowded
stuff.
in
Like
or
I was
whatever.
like, Mom, I curated to you. Like
Yeah.
it's cool.
Well, that's
but I also
sweet.
curated to the festival and stuff. One thing I curated for her that I didn't realize was curating for the festival.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to a few other people after this who I was like, did you know this? Because I didn't know this. I played Higher Love during my set at Turn. And right before with Steve Winwood. Yeah.
Nice.
And right before Shaka Khan came on, they did like a little, you know Shaka Khan from? And they had like a
Yeah.
montage, and it included Higher Love.
Yeah, she's got her own version. Yeah. Yeah.
She did backing vocals for the original.
Oh wow.
Cause I didn't see her own version.
Yeah.
She's in the wiki. The last sentence of the first paragraph says Shaka Khan on backing vocals.
Wow.
And I didn't know that when I
Yeah.
spun it that morning. I was like, okay, bet,
Right.
like cool.
Your instinct didn't even realize it.
Yeah, exactly. One of the cool moments from that set too was the week before I had collected a bunch of vinyl. I had told William at Infinite Spin that I was looking for stuff from the lineup, and he had set Stanley Clark aside. He had set a couple of Shaka Khan aside.
Yeah.
And he made sure I went home with School Days.
Nice.
So I played New Funk, I think is the song, on School Days. And off to my left was a couple, older black couple who was like having breakfast, about to go into the festival. And he knew every lick in that song. He knew the husband was
Gotta
just
love
so
that.
excited to hear that song. I
Yeah.
think specifically, like he knew the licks in it. He must know that whole album. It's that whole album.
Probably
And
one of his favorites at some level.
yeah. And so like he was jamming, and I was like looking over. I was like, this is the whole reason why I do this. And the
Exactly.
wife, I could see, was kind of like, oh yeah, all right. He likes Stanley Clark. Well, I put Rufus and
Nice.
Shaka Khan on next.
Yes.
And she started getting all like, I got one
got
for
'em
him,
both.
I got one
Got
for
'em
her,
both,
just
yeah.
bam, done. Like, and
Who else
and
can I play their jam?
that was the whole reason why I picked up those records, was for that moment. And I
Yeah.
was like so
Oh,
grateful
that's
to
the
have that.
greatest
Like,
feeling as a DJ.
yeah, it was like I played what they wanted to hear, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted to hear it without them
They're out
having to
there
say a
jamming.
thing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Dancing in seats, singing along, whatever, knowing the riffs, and I love that.
I just, and then
That was Saturday morning?
that
Friday?
was Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. Okay.
Yeah, so right before Stanley Clark and
Okay.
Chuck. So I broke my own rule. I listened to the band a little bit before,
Before the
the
concert. I don't
concert. But,
I'm with you on that one.
but it's like I guess I don't have enough backing understanding for those artists to say like it would be overplayed or whatever for me or
Right,
whatever.
right.
But yeah, let's see. So Sunday, Stanley Clark was like a wall of bass.
Yeah.
Like I've been to Bass Nectar shows.
Right.
I was with one of my favorite bassists in town, Jacob Sengerling,
Nice.
and he turned to me. He was like, I never thought I would say this, but I think it might be too much bass.
Oh, no.
Literally.
Lies. There's no such thing.
Well, there was 5 bass
Unless
cabinets.
you're starting to get sick, then maybe it's
Yeah.
time to turn the bass down a
Well,
little bit.
okay, I don't think anyone got that far.
Good.
But there was 5 bass cabinets on
Okay.
stage. And someone later told me on that the high end was crackling, that it was up.
Wow.
And I think, and based on how, like, Jacob and Tone
Mm-hmm.
and Michael, who I was all standing with, and I also met Katie that weekend too, all so sweet and so kind. Tone is always so sweet with his time with me of, like, I get really nerdy about stuff, and,
Yeah.
and he is so gracious, and he's one of the best pianists in town, like, hands down. And so he came for Stanley Clark. He was all dressed up for church, and he did a church gig
Sunday
and came
morning.
back.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
they were all kind of reacting to Stanley
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, I guess he's just been doing it so long that he's a little deaf.
Probably.
Yeah, so
The venues.
or like just things were just a little off at one point. The drummer was so good. The drummer's going so hard he broke a stick, and we live in the reality where it hit Stanley Clark in the face.
Wow.
Like of all the rant,
That's
like
a
1
show.
that the stick broke,
Yeah.
2 that the stick broke in that trajectory,
what are
and
the
3 that
odds?
Stanley was there for it to.
Right. The odds of that.
Yeah, the odds,
Very
literally.
low.
Like we all should have bought a lottery ticket. after that.
For real.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what we saw Funky Brass Band.
Oh,
was
nice.
so much.
St. Louis staple.
That was at the end with Marquise Knox.
Okay. Oh,
I'm getting
another St.
confused.
Louis staple. Marquise
got-
Knox. Man.
I got confused though. I meant to say
okay.
Red and Black Brass Band.
Okay. They're
Really
also
blew me
dope.
away.
Yeah.
They
More
really
people need to hire them, for sure.
they really blew me away for sure. So that was Sunday, I think.
Okay.
Was there anything else from the Sunday lineup you wanted to hear about?
I mostly wanted to hear about Shaka Khan because
Yeah.
I miss her, and anything else. Of
Her
note
encore
from
was
that
"Ain't
day.
Nobody." Like I turned to Tone, or I was with my friend Justin at that
Yeah.
point, and Justin was like, "Okay, we're gonna move over to the other tent." I'm like, "Did I miss Ain't Nobody?" And he was like, "No, it's
No.
coming next. You're totally right, Ace." Like,
Yeah, because
like,
how
you
could
called
she do
it.
a
I was
set
like,
without playing "Ain't Nobody"? You know what I mean?
yeah, I was like, if that's my favorite song, then like, and I'm new to this.
Yeah,
then,
like everybody here. Yeah.
Exactly.
She did the man, great show person.
Yeah, but all the songs were bangers. You know, there was not a miss.
Right, she could do a whole set of just her number ones and probably be okay. But I like a lot of the deep cuts for that matter. But
Yeah.
that's awesome.
What's your favorite tracks from Chaka Khan?
Ooh, I mean, Ain't Nobody is hard to top because of the intro with that like bass synth or whatever that. I probably have that record up here.
I like that it's like a good mix of like minor with major too.
But tell me something good like that. Poof, the like swing on that just makes my soul feel good. Like it's like the drums are not quite on the bass pattern, but it's like perfectly swung. You know what I mean? So, tell me something good is another one. But like, man, I could keep going on. But
yeah.
those are my two favorite probably.
So I think let's see Sunday. I didn't go to any after parties on Sunday or anything. I'm trying to remember what was between Stanley Clarke. There's Esperanza Spalding in between Stanley Clarke and Chaka Khan.
Sweet.
I know just Daniel played on Sunday on like a side stage. That was another thing too. Is like we talked about something off mic before this that is kind of like St. Louis, not valuing St. Louis, but another like specific thing that I saw at the festival was that like the side stage that was like the synths side stage, which was like off the side from the main stage from the Washington stage.
Yeah.
That had like a synths lounge, and it also had its own programming of music.
Okay.
And that schedule was not integrated with the rest of the schedule.
So
on
a lot
the
of
app.
doubling up. Okay.
Well,
it
was
just
not,
couldn't see the times at the right time or whatever.
Well, you couldn't see everything in one spot.
Got you.
Like that's the gatekeep
Yeah.
right there. And I understand like things behind the scenes of who was organizing what and why and but in years past that stage or that side stage or the person producing that stage had their sets in with the rest of the schedule.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's, was a bit of feedback in terms of like, I know there's interpersonal stuff there, but like St. Louis should value St. Louis.
Yeah.
Like St. Louis is bigger than all of us.
Right. You got to get over yourself sometimes and do what's good for the city and the region. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or what's good for the customer.
Yeah.
Like,
or the artist for that matter.
If the customer is someone there to experience all that St. Louis has to offer, then show them the whole swath.
Right.
Like at least put it on the same like app that you're asking everyone to download.
Like just make it a swipe thing or whatever. Yeah. At least easily
it seems
available.
Like it could have been easier.
Yeah.
Like it could have been programmed. Like and I'm not behind the scenes. I don't know if decisions got made at the last minute.
That's true.
I just don't know, but it just, I've been to a lot of festivals.
It could have been
I've been to a
done
lot
better.
of festivals.
Yeah.
If it was an official stage,
Right.
it could have gotten the.
That's what I mean by treating the artists well, because like you don't put their show on the schedule, they're not gonna get as many people, and like for the customer, well, it depends on the person, I guess. If you want to be like the one of few people in the room when you get to see your favorite artist, then it is a good experience. But most people
I think that's what Wednesday
want
night
a full
concerts
room.
are all about.
Yeah,
That's what
right.
Arlo
Wednesday
Parks
night
was
concerts are
last
for that,
night.
not a
I mean,
weekend. Yeah, you want kind of a full room. It doesn't have to be packed, but at least the perception of it being full, so that the energy kind
I
of
just,
passes
when we're
around.
talking about getting the word out, it's like so many people don't know about that free conference, and so
Yeah.
many people in this town would benefit from hearing that free
True.
information, whether
Yeah.
it's hearing about a content creator or an entrepreneur or a video game they've never heard
Right.
of,
Right.
or like developing themselves
Or hearing a
enough.
local artist that just
There's
wants to
so
tell
many
their
empty
story.
seats at this conference every year.
Too many.
Too many.
Yeah.
So that was, that definitely is like, for me, it's like the conference is like one of my favorite days of the year every year, because not like this year it really filled my cup, but it just like fills me with ambition and inspiration and knowledge.
Seeing those other people doing their thing kind of makes you want to
Or
do your
just,
thing.
or just being able to ask a question I've never asked before, or like being able to hear someone speak on something that they really have, like last year, Tef's free speech panel was like huge.
Yeah.
That was like probably my favorite part of the conference last year, was hearing Tef speak about free speech among other things.
Tef Poe is a rapper from St. Louis, if y'all don't know.
Yeah, we talked a lot on that
Yeah.
first episode about
Yeah.
Tef too. So
That's
like
right.
to see him on Saturday doing his thing, like that was beautiful. Like
Yeah.
he left everything on the stage. Like
Man.
he was moving around the stage a lot, but it wasn't just him.
Okay.
He brought so many other hip hop artists on stage with him that like he was like, you're gonna see us together
Right.
more
Show of solidarity.
for good things, for positivity. So if you see us all together, we come in peace. Like I'm getting chills thinking about it, because it was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And like there was one point, and this is like an aside that's funny, that like I'm saying it so that I'm sure there's pictures. I know my friend Elizabeth has
Look through the
pictures,
gallery
so.
online when you get a chance.
So he came over. I was on the left side, facing the stage. I was on the left side. He comes on over. He's like, they were all smoking on stage. He's like, anyone want the rest of this?
Nice.
And then no one responded.
Really?
He was like, does anyone want the rest of this?
Did
And I was
y'all
like,
hear me?
I was like, I'm here.
Is
Like
this
everyone
still-
said no, but I'm here. And so
That's awesome.
I was able, like, there was a lot of cameras around at
Of
that
him.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
The exchange.
The exchange.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was so funny too, because I don't remember who I was talking to later in the evening, but they were like, oh yeah, you like got that joint from Tef. And I was like, were you there? Like I was like, I think it was someone could see from far away that they're like, whoever that was is having a good time.
Yeah.
I was really moving
Yeah.
for sure.
He's got good jams.
It was, excellent.
Yeah.
And I took a look at Tef's releases from 2024. There's like a handful of records that came out this year from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got different deals and and he's got his own indie thing going. So yeah, he puts out
lots of music
a lot
came
of
out
music.
this year. Yeah. And the warm up for me, like I knew the set that I was gonna walk away from, like wanting it to never end, was the Star Wolf set at 2 p.m. on Saturday. It was the first set of the day sort of thing. And they just killed it. I just wanted them to keep going. Like it was in the big top before they put all the chairs in. So it had like more of a dance floor vibe to it and stuff. And they have so their record is called Tropical Disco. It's they're having an album release show on November 9th at Off Broadway. They had announced it on Saturday. So
off Broadway. Okay.
yeah, so Tropical Disco, it sounds like it sounds, like it's a really good disco rock record.
Yeah.
And
Are they involving some like island styles, or just
it's
tropical
it's
is-
more like rock disco.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
yeah. They have Isaac Shane Johnson on percussion.
Okay.
At least on Saturday they did, and
Right.
it was, they were all really rocked it.
Nice.
Like
Okay.
really, really good. And Isaac Shane Johnson also, like his songwriting personally is all like Americana. Like I'm like, I'm not really into the music that you make, but you are doing it really well.
Yeah,
like
your
I'm
other
into
stuff,
it because you're doing it. Like
Yeah.
So he's got a great voice, great lyricism. It's
Mm.
in that folk Americana tradition.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't really, I hear people using acoustic guitar, but, when it comes to actually having that draw, I
Right.
don't really hear that all that much.
Yeah, they just use their normal voice a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's cool to see Owen perform.
Yeah.
I'm excited to meet more of the Star Wolf folk. I wanted to talk with Tuff on Saturday, but I could tell that he was like
Done
out
for
of
the
battery.
day. Yeah.
I wanted to say, hey,
Yeah.
thanks for the joint.
That's fair.
High context. But one day. We'll get there one day. I'm trying to think what else was on. Oh my God, Big Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, Big Boy. His DJ was spinning vinyl.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So it was my third time
That's
seeing
impressive.
Big Boy.
Okay.
He played
sweet.
a lot of Outkast, which was great.
Of course.
I was hoping that he would play some tunes from Vicious Lies and Dangerous Rumors.
That's a great album.
Oh, so solid.
His solo
it's
stuff
like
is
one
really
of my,
good.
I want it on vinyl so bad.
Oh, yeah.
I
bet it's
just need
super
to
expensive.
acquire it. Yeah, it's worth it though because
for
there's
sure.
so many cool like fusion bangers on it, and
Yeah.
like I had just seen Fantagram on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, they're so close.
Yeah.
I've
The
seen
songs they have
Outkast and
together.
Fantagram at the same festival too, and Big Grams did not happen. So
Aw.
I was like, that was even closer, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, so
I
you weren't expecting it.
No one was booked for Big Grams.
Yeah.
Big Grams is its own set of rehearsals, I'm sure.
True. Yeah, right.
Yeah, for them.
They got to get ready for
them
sure.
too, and their level of musicality too.
Yeah. They need to
So-
practice on their own. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, Big Boy was dope. I'm trying to think what else was on Saturday. I got this done on Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah, shout out to STL Braids.
Hey.
It was cool because I was like forced to sit for about an hour
Yeah,
or
makes you
less.
sit down for a
Just under an hour. I was like, thank goodness, because I wouldn't stop moving.
Yeah.
Honestly,
And your body, as you're young, but a lot of wear and tear on a body in a day of a festival.
Oh my
so-
God, I have not stretched enough. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the interesting thing too is like I was moving all day,
Mhm.
I had this like flowy skirt on, and as I was like going
Nice.
through the festival the first day, I was like, oh crap, I should have probably worn this flowy skirt for Esperanza Spalding tomorrow and Chaka Khan tomorrow.
Yeah.
But what part of the reason why I love Music at the Intersection is they have like these local vendors that are typically thrift shops.
Yep.
So I figured I could thrift something for the
Pick
next
something up,
day.
yeah.
So I ended up finding this cool asymmetrical dress to wear the next day.
Cool.
And I was worried. I was like, man, this material, I might be hot.
Yeah.
Based on, I
It's
figured the
warm.
weather was going to be the exact same Saturday.
It was
Saturday
warm
and
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
But then Sunday ended up being a bit rainy, and the
Yeah.
dress was perfect. I was
Nice.
like, the perfect temperature, like
Yeah.
gratefully. So that was really special to have, like, be able to patron the braid spot and patron the thrift shop. I mean, I got the dress for $15.
Nice.
Like, yeah, I
Good
was like,
deal.
yes, okay, thank you.
And you get to wear it to the same festival.
Yeah,
It's
I got,
like a
I
full
got
circle
to
thing.
slide in, show it off to them and stuff, and it was just really cool to be able to like be in that commerce locally.
Yeah. Keeping the dollars local.
Yeah, exactly. Lettuce on Saturday was pretty cool too. I remember
Nice.
people kind of freaking out. They were like, I thought we were supposed to be at a funk jam thing, and this is like dub electronic. But then, like, I've seen Lettuce a few times.
They can
before.
switch it up. I don't think I've ever seen the same live set from them ever.
For real. Yeah, no, they were definitely like just within a couple of songs they even made it to soul.
Mhm.
Like I was like what
They
is
cover a
going
lot.
on? Yeah. And it was funny too because I was talking with like Roy, and he was like, since when did, like, he was looking on his phone, he's like, when did Lettuce become like dub electronic? I'm like, when I started seeing them live, probably like
Right?
10 years ago maybe. And then I sent him some of my favorite songs, and he was like, gonna need more gummies for those for sure. I was like, that makes a lot of sense actually.
Yeah. It goes with that type of music for sure.
Yeah.
It goes along well with that.
So I saw more local music on Saturday than I did Sunday.
Okay.
So I saw I saw Rachel Bouzier.
Okay.
saw Ida Aid as well.
Oh, yeah.
Ida did a cover. Tone filled me in on the background of it, but did a cover of Dreams by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, okay.
And that was such a special moment because I was like walking away from that side stage, and I start up a conversation with someone from The Sound from 88.9.
Nice.
And this man, Eric, was so sweet to talk to me and love his voice and stuff. And like, we were just talking about stuff. And he was like, oh man, you know, about the whole KDHX thing. And, and then while I'm talking to him, I start mouthing the lyrics on stage because I'm like, I know them.
You know
I'm
the
like,
song,
how do I know this song?
You're not used to her, or that
Yeah,
person
I was
singing
like,
it.
sorry, Eric, I need to like take a video of this real
You
quick.
gotta process a little bit, sing a little bit.
Yeah, but the arrangement was so beautiful. I'd never heard that arrangement before, and Tone gave me the background that it was like a Robert Glasper like produced arrangement from
Ooh.
I forgot what artist he said by through which artist, but like
Okay.
it was not something I was hip to. I was like, that is
Yeah.
really cool. I just really enjoyed that arrangement.
Yeah.
And then got to see Darkwood as well.
Sweet, sweet.
Yeah, and just like, you know, Daruba just pounding it out. He was at Tough. He was at that Wow
He's probably
stage.
all over the festival.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the best drummers in town. Why would you not want to use him?
For real, for real. Yeah, it was like at least 3 different sets during the festival I saw him at, and then at night at Hi-Hat. So he did like 4 sets that day. I was like, yeah.
I bet his body was feeling it after all that.
Yeah,
Good
for
Lord.
real. And I saw Marty taking pictures. Like he was running all over the festival. Like he was.
He's really gotten great, man. I remember when he told me he was gonna start doing that some years ago, and now people
He
are
knows the
major
rhythm.
festivals are high. He's got an eye, man. And he knows the rhythm, but like his eye is really strong, and that's the key to me. I don't know much about photography. When I asked people that know about it, Nate Burrell was one of the people I was, because I was like, oh, I might get into it as a hobby. And
What did Nate say?
He was like, you got to develop your eye. It doesn't, your equipment doesn't matter as much as you being able to tell a story
Composition.
with whatever you're framing. Yeah, the composition of the shot, because the shot should tell a story. It shouldn't just be a picture of something, right? And I was like, oh, that makes sense. I don't know if I had that, so I'm gonna stick to DJing.
I got you.
But
yeah.
like, it was around the same time Marty was picking it up. I'm glad to see him doing the same thing. Still
Yeah,
doing
it's dope. I mean, his shots are just. He gets a moment like captured. Like I think, I'm still like my jaw drops thinking about his pictures of Aloha last year at Festival of Nations. Like, I'm bummed I missed that set, but like the pictures that he made of it, just I'm like, man,
Almost
you have
like-
those framed, right? Because like
Right? Can I get a print?
the action
What's up?
shot
Yeah.
is just he makes it look so like precise and beautiful. Like I've seen other photographers maybe make it look painterly or what have you, but like his almost like, it's like hard to say that it looks dynamic because there's no blur.
It's crisp,
It's really crisp.
but you can tell there's action
dynamic.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost makes you feel like you're there when it's like that still, right? Because that would be basically what you would see in person. With the blur, it's like
Like if I
you wouldn't
blinked.
see. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So yeah, overall it was a good time. Successful Maddie.
Okay,
Got
Maddie.
to talk with lots of, I was saying happy Maddie.
Nice.
And like
Anybody say it back?
they
What's
mostly it was like,
They're like, what? Oh,
like, okay.
oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
yeah, I think some people said it back. But like Victoria, she was like you're so funny. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to make fetch happen. Like
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
I was like,
That's
I
awesome.
just like appreciate the like, I see you being silly, and I'm like, I know I'm being silly. It was so funny too because she actually helped me like pick out that dress.
Oh, nice.
And then last night I was thinking about her and thinking about how she had helped me pick out the dress and
Yeah.
stuff as I was driving to the Hawthorne for Arlo Parks. I parked right behind her.
Wow.
It was weird. It
Law
freaked
of
me
attraction.
out.
And you were a master manifester, so that
I
does not
was like-
surprise me one bit.
I know it doesn't surprise you. It's still freaking me out.
I
though.
know it probably
It
still
makes me
freaks you
feel
out.
feral. It makes me feel feral when I do things like that. Like, not
You
on
can never
purpose.
concentrate on anyone ever again because it's gonna keep freaking you out when they show up.
Well, it was so, I mean, this might be an off my conversation, but I love when my ex sees me with their ex.
Yeah.
It's just one of the best.
That's a nice little.
Yeah, I just kept
booster.
reminding her that we are highly favored.
Yes.
That, like,
You're in tune.
Can't fuck with us.
You're in tune. Probably protected. So yeah, don't mess with Ace and her tribe. Their tribe.
Yeah, it's the Ace Network.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
You should make that a thing.
It's gonna be
if
a
it's
thing.
not a thing, that should be a thing.
It launches in 2026.
Okay, cool. The Ace
Yeah.
Network just sounds cool, and then I just know what you would do with it. It would be very cool. So yeah.
Yeah, the goal is for the endless summer.
Nice.
To follow the endless summer.
Okay.
Whatever that looks like. Maybe someone wants the endless winter, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe.
Yeah.
But
nice.
that's the goal.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Maybe Maddie and Ace Network will team up one day.
Oh, Maddie will be a destination on the
Yeah.
Ace Network.
There we
That
go.
is true.
Sweet.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun, actually. I'd love to bring the folks I know from around the world, like, to St. Louis.
Yeah, man.
That's like...
We need more of that, for sure.
Well, I mean...
we got it happening, but we need more, I think.
What I hope for Music at the Intersection is a week-long conference.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you were talking to the organizers, what would you like to see in the future?
If we were in a play sandbox together... how I would structure it is like each year adding a day on and having the conferences during the day.
Yeah.
Like during the week.
Ooh, yeah.
And then the local performances in the evening. So you're incentivizing the people who are at the music festival to come earlier to not only be a part of the panels, but to also see locally what's happening.
Yeah.
And then that shares knowledge, that is more networking, that's more activation of all these Maddie places. So the Maddie places was just one day, but imagining if like these performances were activating these Maddie places in the evening.
At least once a day, yeah.
Yeah, each evening, and not just Friday at the Big Top, you know, like, so that I emulate South by Southwest, you know, like
that's exactly what I was thinking about when you were describing
in our own way.
it.
Yeah, and so like you can pick a theme for each day if you really want to, and we're only going to focus on film on Wednesdays this year, or we're only going to focus on fashion on Tuesdays this year, with whatever the case
or
may be,
tech or whatever.
Yeah, and then that way it's like all the people doing the thing can all be in one place at one time, and then they can enjoy all the stuff on either side of what they're doing. So yeah, when I hear that, like I think the second year, or like I think I asked last year, I was like, so do you ask the people on the lineup to be part of the panels? And he was like, well, Inventive does the panels, Inventive does the conference.
Okay.
And we got them in touch with the national acts. And I was like, wait, you mean there's no talks of like a local artist roundtable panel?
Yeah.
Like, so they did a little bit more, like Brock Seals was on the Brown Bag Lunch. But I think that might have been the only artist
still wasn't a ton.
that I saw that was on the lineup that was at the conference.
Yeah.
On a conference like panel.
You're right. Build on the panel.
So that's where my like
it's a little drop
feedback goes into, is like how do we make it more accessible, not just for the people accessing it. Well, one, that would be more marketing for the conference.
Yeah.
And two would be like bringing the local acts into the conference and us having that annual summit, like what it looks like for the local industry or whatever.
Yeah.
And then And then of course, like asking the national acts to be a part of it,
Yeah.
like saying, look at all this value we have created for ourselves.
Right.
Like that's, I think that, and I'd love for a, Maddie Fashion Day.
Mm-hmm.
Like how cool. A Maddie film
Because
day,
there was
a Maddie
one
video
panel.
game day,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
even like have intercessions every 6 months.
Right, not just
let
at
it be
Maddie.
called intercessions, and let it be like in the interim.
In the actual
Word association,
intersections.
we love it.
In the actual intersections between the sections,
Yeah.
Yeah, that just makes a whole lot of sense.
I think it would make music at the intersection bigger.
Yeah.
And it would make, and yeah, I'd still want local people on the lineup during the day, on the weekend.
Yeah.
But maybe one day it's all touring acts,
Right.
whether they're from St. Louis or not.
Right.
Maybe they are, and they're just touring. They're just elsewhere now. Like, name an artist that used to live here that now is doing their thing elsewhere. I mean, like, I think about Tanina.
Tanina, yeah, that's
right?
a big one.
Like, are there others that are like, oh, that's a, yeah, like they got really big.
Does Foxing still live here?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know of
Yeah.
where Foxing lives, but like they were like on during the day at Music at the Intersection. I want to say like last year or the year before.
Okay.
Probably the year before.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because that was the year with Hiatus Coyote, I think.
Oh, nice.
Like they, I'd love to see Whitworth like on the Maddie intersection. That they're doing the touring.
They're touring,
stuff,
yeah. They just did the West Coast. They're back now, but I think he's planning another tour. So, yeah.
And just what would it look like? Yeah.
Yeah. That would look great
to have like just a full touring acts on the weekend, and then having the full
during the week.
celebration of like all the local music that we can,
Yeah.
while also activating those areas in Grand Center throughout the week. So it's not like someone who wants to go to all the things around Grand Center. Well, they're all happening at the same time on Thursday.
Yeah, right.
Like that's kind of what it felt like a little bit. With that. Yeah, but otherwise, amazing weather. The Arch did its job, and it didn't rain too hard on Sunday.
Good.
Mighty Kind. Mighty Kind had their own booth that had a little lounge next
Shout
to
out to
it.
MK, nice.
Nice work, Jelani, and Josh Loyal,
Joshua.
and had spent more time with Terrence with
Nice.
T. So it was great to meet them too.
Sweet.
So it was really epic, and it definitely, it seemed more lively, like in terms of like leading up to it.
Okay. Yeah.
And then also the like in the evenings they didn't have any overlap between sets. So I thought that was pretty
nice.
smart.
Yeah.
And like Larry posted a photo of just that whole crowd for Chaka Khan, and he was like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what it is about. So it was just real beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's good points and, points of challenge where they could, do a little changing of some things, but it sounds like it was overall pretty good. Good. And like some life-changing performances maybe.
I mean, that bass, man.
Yeah.
I love a good helping of bass, if you can't tell.
Same.
I'm here for it.
Same.
Like, yeah. The Wednesday night shows I went to, like, before Music at the Intersection and after, like, Fantagram last Wednesday was, like, a lot of bass. And I loved it. But I was so grateful to see Drama and to be able, like, I ended up with some free tickets to Drama, so I was so excited that I was able to share some of those free tickets with folks.
Yeah. Did Jelani go with you?
He did, yes. We've got it worked out.
That to me. Yeah.
I'm
glad that worked out.
Learned my lesson on that one. It's like, do you know this band? Are you free on Friday? Those are the two questions. Right. But yeah, it's super grateful for David at Turn and for Steve at the Royale too, for like the support, for being able to have a full week of DJing last week was really fun too. Yeah. So
it's nice to be busy with DJing.
I hope to be more busy with DJing. Yeah. Me too. as much as I can physically make it to.
Right, yeah. Don't run yourself ragged. Well, thank you for that conversation.
Of course.
Everybody out there, thanks for listening to our side story to the High Context podcast.
Yeah.
As usual, you can reach us at highcontextpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find the podcast and the intercession side stories on highcontext.podbean.com. And you can find the podcast on any of the platforms that you probably usually listen to. So.
Yeah. So it's been dope to hear folks getting in touch with High Context, and some folks have been hitting me up when they've been like partway through the first episode and stuff like that, and it's just
questions or just comments or whatever.
Some comments here and there,
Yeah.
and it's been dope that like I had a friend who was like, I didn't even know you were a weed connoisseur. Like,
wow.
Like I was like, folks in my life are going to begin uncovering things about myself, and the same with you, I'm sure.
Yeah, your episode is gonna open some eyes, I'm sure, to different parts of you that people, because people know you for a thing, and that's probably the only way they know you, unless they're like really good friends, and then they find out you do another thing. They're like, wait, you do that too?
I do so many things.
Yeah, it's like actually I do like way more things than these two things you know about, but yeah, those two things, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting with more folks and making more of those long form podcasts too. Yeah. We're gonna be I think like within a month making our short list on who's coming on next. New guests. And we're just gonna keep going around like that. So
maybe we'll hear you on one of these someday.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.